Jay Diff showed me a video of KD. Shout out to KD getting back from his injury. He sat down with Hot 97.
He's not back from his injury.
Getting back from his injury. He's still working on it. He ain't quite back yet. But
Will he play at all?
No. Not this year.
Seemed like coming back in the playoffs.
Last quarter of the season, maybe before the playoffs.
Nah, he gonna sit his ass down.
If he's smart, I'd sit the whole season out. Don't risk it. He's already risked enough for Golden State. So
that's a good point.
KD, just chill, man. Come back the following year. Get back to that 27 a pop because one of the best scorers I've ever seen. So I think he'll be fine because he can shoot. But he was on Hot 97 talking to Ebro and Rosenberg, Laura Styles. And they asked him, what would you know how they asked the guests, what you want to hear? What you want to hear? The first thing he came up with was Freddie Gibbs. And we talked about that album. I love 𝗏𝗏. We talked about him and Madlib, but I tried to get a few of the quotes from the conversation, and it started off once he suggested that. KD starts off and he says, after Ebro calls it underground, he says, "So what's underground? What's mainstream?" Like these are the questions that KD starts to pose to them, and Ebro says, "Nah, it's not politics. It's not politics." And
no, you gotta, because old girl said it was politics.
Laura Styles, you're right.
Yeah,
Laura Styles said it's politics, and then
from.
Ebro followed up, no, it's not politics. It's not politics. And then Ebro goes into a spiel about people want to sing along with melody during their commute to work and when they're driving or whatever. And then KD says, you don't like to cater to the people who like Freddie Gibbs, which was a great question. I thought that was real dope. Ebro responded and he says, I like to cater to the people who give ratings. But KD then responded and said, but sometimes it's about the art, which was dope of him to say. So it tells you that he might be an actual hip hop head and actually listens to it for, what it is at the root, however you want to call it.
What's known that KD got some good taste in music.
Yeah, that's dope. And Rosenberg chimes in and he says, it's like Walmart right now at this point. The music game in terms of how it is now. So that was very interesting to me. So my question is,
what does that mean?
To Walmart in terms of just how fast everything is. People come in and, stream stuff real fast, instant gratification, come in, buy it, and they're gone. Like nothing lasts. Everything's real fast.
Kind of the same representation of the microwave era.
Right.
Everything's so turnkey and
it's always been like that.
Yeah.
You think so? In comparison to now?
Pop music has always been this. It's just hip hop's pop music.
Maybe switch it to pop music.
It's just it's a hip hop radio station.
So here's my question.
Maybe it's a pop radio station now.
That's fair. Don't save that. I'm coming to Jay Diff. So with Ebro ignoring the concept of the politics, clearly he contradicted. We talked about this prior to coming on. Does that even matter in 2019 in the streaming era in terms of them talking about the politics and not wanting to play certain things? Because to me, radio has been pushed back. It's no longer at the forefront, in my opinion. It's about playlists. It's about streaming services. So this politics conversation that they're having and why you don't want to play Freddie Gibbs, does that even matter at this point? Do you think that's relevant now?
I think it's still relevant.
Okay.
I mean, because people, even with streaming, people still commute listening to the radio regardless. Maybe you're not going home listening to the radio like people used to do back in the day. We used to listen to the radio, actually record what was going on the radio.
Facts.
But you're still the radio is still a valuable tool. And for him to say that it's not politics, but in the same token, say he wants to cater to the people that give the ratings.
That's politics.
That's definitely politics.
Right.
Because you're catering to who you consider your audience. But you're not trying to, like KD was saying, why aren't you catering to people that fuck with Freddie Gibbs?
Right.
Or listen to Freddie Gibbs or whatnot. That's a fair argument, I think. But that's how the radio's been forever, though. Like, even when they started playing hip-hop on the radio, it was never really an underground hit. It was always whatever made the forefront to, like, the top 5 on TRL or The Basement. You know what I'm saying?
All shows that we watched.
All the shows that we watched.
Yeah,
there was never like Wu-Tang really didn't get radio play here. They may have got it in New York until that Hot 96 show when they pretty much was like, fuck y'all, and they stopped playing them. But other than that, It's kind of been like that.
Just catering to advertisers.
That's pretty much it. You think?
I mean, we see it with YouTube. Even YouTube even rolled something out new recently where they have this new policy in how they what content will be available for certain advertisements. They have no good way to like distinguish what advertisers fit with certain content. So like if we're over here talking about, for example, here's an interesting thing. If we just have certain things in our headlines, we automatically get partial advertisement unless I manually review it. So like I remember once I put Nipsey Hussle just in the title, that got docked just for having his name in it. There are a couple other times where if you say anything kind of controversial, even if you're just talking about it, like if we talk about a school shooting, it's automatically going to get docked if it's in the title. So if we have to not put it in the title or not talk about it. So it's kind of an interesting kind of censorship in a way, because you know that even people like us and everybody else, that means that we can't talk about specific things, because then it messes up the money aspect of things, right?
Right.
So radio, what we're talking about now, is just even more than that, because they got the big advertising dollars. It's all about money.
I can dig it. Spoolz, jump in. Any thoughts on just the entire concept of what we're talking about with the politics? And
I mean, there was a point where hip hop was. I mean, back in the day where hip hop wasn't pop music yet,
right?
You know? And at some point, obviously, there was like a split or a diverged. There's a show on Netflix called 𝗏𝗲𝗡 that I think is pretty good. Or it's like a documentary.
It's really good.
Yeah, it's well done. And but they talk about that. Like there's an episode about when like kind of the underground kind of started or whatever, and that you see it out in LA with like, what was it, the Good Day Cafe,
Freestyle
Fellowship. You see it in New York with Mos Def, Talib, you know what I mean, stuff like that.
They're doing the Lyricist Lounge,
right?
Like it's interesting, and there's definitely politics involved with it. But at the end of the day, too, I was kind of just thinking about, as you guys were talking, like, is radio supposed to? What role does it serve now? You know what I mean?
Question.
Like, is it supposed to introduce you to, like, isn't it supposed to cater to what people want?
Yes.
Or not?
Yeah.
Like, or not? You know what I mean? Or is it supposed to have an agenda of its own? I wish it were diverse enough to where, like, underground hip hop or whatever people call that had its own popular radio station or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Network, but it just. There's pockets of it, you know what I mean, but
maybe XM.
Just real quick, because like I said, being kind of behind the curtain at one point, radio hasn't been about art in a long time.
Yeah.
Okay. Radio is about product placement.
Yeah.
And there's no reason for you to even try to in a way fight this fight. I understand where Kevin Durant's coming from,
right?
Because he'd like to hear certain artists on the radio. I would too, but that's not going to happen.
No, it's not going to. And I think it's a cool argument. It's cool that Kevin is talking about that, but it's really kind of barking up the wrong tree. And I see that too a lot of times. Typically once every year, depending on what city you're in, if you're involved in the music scene somehow, you'll probably see an artist in your city complain about radio not playing local music to some extent.
Yeah.
But then they won't even have a clean song for them to even play.
But even that is irrelevant. Like, the radio caters to the radio. Like, obviously that's a quick way to get people to hear your music. But if you don't make music that caters to their platform, why are you worried about it?
So is it more about that? I mean, I'm kind of getting back to what I was saying. I mean, this is what people want to hear.
Yeah.
That's what makes it
people
popular
want to
music.
hear the popular music because it's popular.
Mm-hmm. More people than want to hear the underground stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, it's just like when you think about Nas's first album, Illmatic didn't have what is technically called a radio hit. So when they were crafting, it was written, they were like, okay, we're getting on the radio with this album. We're going to do what Biggie Smalls figured out how to do on Ready to Die, was keep the hardcore, but we're going to have our version of Juicy.
And that wouldn't If I Ruled the World.
Yes, exactly. So
No, that was his second album.
yeah, that was the second album.
Yeah, that's what he was saying.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's like they made a
was
conscious effort to make sure Nas got on the radio with that second album.